Good day, everyone. I am back at my favorite spot because I've been kind of beating myself up a little bit this week for a couple weeks about something. And I thought today's the day that we need to just process all of that and clear it out and release it. So I thought that coming out to the beach, nice quiet beach, would be a good way to do that. And I thought I would film it because there's probably somebody else out there that's beating themselves up too about something. So if this helps somebody process their situation, then I'm happy to help. So let me tell you a story. I am a jewelry designer and I do markets, events and markets and things like that, and have a website as well. But this story revolves around being out in public at a market. And it happened a couple of weeks ago. And I was working. I was trying to earn a living, and I am a solo woman at 59, quickly approaching 60, with no safety net, and so survival is definitely something that I am focused on. And earning money at these events and these markets are what keeps a roof over my head. So bear that in mind. And so anyway, it was a busy market. It was the first market of the season at that particular venue. So there were a lot of people there. And I was having a good sales day. I had lots of, people coming over and chatting. But at this particular moment, I didn't have anyone in my tent. And there was a gentleman, lots of dogs. So I'll also preface that this market has a lot of dogs, people with their dogs, all of them on leash. Some behave, some barking and things like that. But so this particular gentleman had a dog. It was a large Rottweiler. I don't know if it was full grown, but it looked full grown. So it might have been a puppy, but it was of full grown size. He was a man of smaller stature, maybe 5 foot, small build. So this was a lot of dog for him, and he was having trouble controlling the dog, but the dog wasn't really doing anything that needed controlling. It wasn't barking, it wasn't lunging at any other dogs. It was curious, as dogs are. And there was another dog that was a bit yappy, kind of wanting to get closer to the Rottweiler. And this was happening directly in front of my tent, so I had direct visual of this. And the first thing I saw him do was really hardly yank on the leash of the Rottweiler. And, I had a reaction of, it's not doing anything. Like, it wasn't barking, as I say, it wasn't barking, it wasn't lunging at the other dog. It was just, curious. But he gave it a hard yank to try to control it. And I noticed it, and I didn't like it, but, it's like, okay. And then, I don't know, 10 seconds later or something like that, again, the Rottweiler didn't bark, it wasn't lunging, it wasn't doing anything. And this gentleman, using that term very graciously, I think, took a foot, raised it above his knee, and stomped on the Rottweiler's front paw. And my reaction was Oh, no. Um, which I pretty sure I said out loud, but I didn't say it out loud enough for him to hear. And I shook my head and I was just like, no, that's not cool. Um, but I didn't react further than that. Pulling out my cell phone to film something like that never would occur to me. My phone is not my go-to. I have to record things instead of react to them. That's not my thing. Um, but I'm beating myself up about not confronting him about it. And that's what's been kind of bugging me is, I should have done this or I should have done that. And being a, keyboard warrior, as they say, the people that like to comment on videos that they're watching of somebody doing something bad and they flood the comments with, if I had been there, I would have done this. If I had been there, I would have done that. I would have. It's like, okay, maybe, but then maybe you would have walked by and done nothing. And so the other part of this story, which I think is probably also the thing that is eating at me, is the vendor beside me, who, we are friends and we chat. She immediately, and I mean immediately, went after him and went right up to him and said, no, she did call him sir. She's like, sir, don't do that. That is not okay. And she was very vocal, very loud enough that others around were hearing and seeing. And he was a little surprised, and his response was, well, my breeder told me to do that as a discipline measure. To which I thought, well, your breeder is a certain breed as well. But anyway, so I think the thing that's adding to my disappointment in myself is her strong reaction. And so I'm sitting here for a couple of weeks going, well, why didn't I do that? Why wasn't I capable of doing that? Why wasn't I strong enough to do that? Why wasn't I brave enough to do that? A lot of that. And she was very aggressive. She didn't touch him or anything like that, but she definitely was very vocal and continued to be vocal as he walked around. And then he came back around without the dog. So he obviously lived very close by, or he put the dog in a hot car. He might have put a dog in the hot car. I'm going to assume he went into the condo building that's right by this market, and he put his dog in the house. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt there. And he didn't just put it in a hot car. But he came back and he was walking around the market without the dog. So at least he kind of realized maybe he needed to not be in public with the dog. But anyway, so this story is about my reaction or lack of reaction, or should I have made a bigger deal about it? And it still keeps bugging me. So that's why I wanted to come out, because it's obviously something that's lingering. So I need to kind of process it. And I'm disappointed that I guess I didn't have I don't know what it was. Was it lack of courage? I don't think so. I think what I've come to the conclusion of is because I was at work. This is my job, and it's the only income I have. To make a scene with a customer a customer at the market, um, what are the ramifications of that? I don't have video proof that he did it. If I start screaming at a customer, are other people going to look and see me as the crazy person because they didn't see what happened? And then, are they going to say, well, I'm not going to shop at her tent, I'm not going to buy her stuff? Are the organizers of the market going to say, we can't really have that, so, we're going to have to ask you not to be a vendor here? And then so from that standpoint, it becomes a survival thing for me. I need to do these. And so I think a part of it was I don't want to create a problem for myself. That doesn't help the dog, though, right? And so that's where I had to go for a walk today. Okay, so I have sat here at one of my favorite places for a few minutes and listened to the water. I actually took a little walk down the beach and kind of processed everything and thought about things. And I am now at the point that I am going to just release this situation, stop thinking about it. And I'm going to do that because I've come into nature and I've grounded and got some perspective. And I'm going to leave it with this. The dog had a champion. That was my vendor neighbor to me. So someone was there that stood up for him or her. Hopefully, the dog owner will think about doing that again. Let's hope that perhaps he'll question disciplinary measures in the future. But for me, I'm going to say to myself, that it's okay to put my survival or my thought that I need to protect myself and my vendorship at this market, because it is my income and it is how I survive in this matrix at this point. And I'm going to be grateful that I had that opportunity. And it also made me think that I need to remember that the universe is always going to take care of me. It always has. I've always had enough. Maybe not more than enough, but enough. And I will continue to do so. And so if something like that happens in the future, I need to trust that the universe is going to take care of me. So if I do need to stand up and be more vocal and take a louder stand, that it is going to work out in the best possible way. And that's something that I think I still need to work on a little bit, is the faith and release the fear. So perhaps that was a teaching lesson for this scenario as well. So in that sense, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for what an amazing day it was for me in sales, and the lessons. Now I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to stop shooting on myself. and I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of the day. So until next time, stay grounded and stay grateful. Take care.